Hello, it's Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here to do the Reading Habits tag. I figure since I'm fairly new to BookTube, at least on the side of the equation, I thought I would do a tag and as a means of introduction and getting to know you all. So this one I found on Shawn the Book Maniac's channel. I'll link him below. He was so kind and really generous and warm in his greeting. He welcomed me to BookTube and even put a shout out on Twitter. So thank you so much, Shawn. That was really, really kind of you. So let me just jump right on in. My understanding was this was done originally by someone with the channel at BookJazz that's no longer on YouTube. So hope that doesn't bode ill for me doing this tag. We'll see. Okay, so let's just jump into it. The first question is, do you have a certain place at home for reading? I do, and I'm sitting in right now, and this is my huge, massive couch. It goes on, seems like it goes on forever, and it's one of those big, deep couches, so whenever I come home and I sit in it, I just want to pull up my knees and sit Indian style and just relax a little bit. So very comfortable and loungy. I've actually slept on it, fallen asleep out here, and just it's great. So this is my preferred place. Plus, I can just kind of almost reach over, and get some of my books if I'd like. So I also have a recliner. It's kind of a mission style recliner. It's very comfortable, and I have it near the window, so I like that on nice warm days when the windows are open. Those are my two favorite places here. The second question is, do you use a bookmark or a random piece of paper? So back in the olden days, before digital readers, I definitely would just use any random piece of paper. And I think I even dog-eared. Oh God, the idea just is terrifying when I think about it now. But now I generally I will read in any format, so audio or any of those kinds of formats, audio, digital, as well as books. And so I'm not always having the need for bookmarks, but I thought I'd pick out some of the ones that I love the most. So any Bay Area gal needs to have her City Lights bookmark, so that's a good one. And then Moe's is another one. I have just a gazillion of these. Moe's is a famous bookstore in Berkeley, and they're very well known for during the riots for in the 1960s for the freedom of speech protests that were happening at UC Berkeley. There's some famous photographs taken right out in front of there, so that's always great. And then one of my favorite places on earth is Oxford University. And for the past few years, I've been going and studying there for a week during the summer. So it's one of my favorite things to do. Ultra nerdy, but really exciting for me. And I've met so many amazing people in the programs, but we get to live, you pay for the opportunity to study and live at Christ Church. And so I have many beautiful bookmarks of the amazing gorgeousness that is Oxford University. This is one of my favorite ones. It's really beautiful. Christ Church. Then one of the best bookstores in the world, Blackwell's, right there in Oxford. And then talk about libraries, the Bodleian Library. You can't get better than that. So those are some fun ones that I use now when I'm reading books, physical books now. The next question, number 3, is, can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a certain chapter or a certain amount of pages? For me, I'll stop whenever I need to stop, and it's only because I'm reading whenever I can. So if I have 2 minutes standing in line, I'm reading. I'll grab my phone and read something on my phone. So I've become pretty adept at being able to just pick up where I left off, or even if I have to read a couple sentences back. So that's not really a problem for me anymore. Next is, do you eat or drink while reading? I like to have some tea or something to drink, like a coffee or something like that. That's always nice. But in terms of eating, the only times I do that is if it's finger food, something that I can not take my eyes off the page and just kind of shovel, grab, deposit, grab, deposit. So that's how I do that. So dolmas or olives or little pieces of fruit, things, little noshy things. That's how I usually do it. The next question is multitasking. Do you listen to music or watch TV while reading? So when I'm by myself, generally not. I tend to just like the silence and I get absorbed in the books. But my husband, when he's around, when he comes home from work, he likes to have the TV going and he plays guitar. And so he'll just practice guitar all night long. And so I've become pretty adept at being able to block and to kind of tune it out and or put in some headphones and listen to white noise, or I've started to listen to classical, which is great if it's the right the right kind of genre. It's a classical is strange if you're reading the wrong kind of mismatched book. So that's that. The next one book at a time or several at once. Oh, I read several at once. So this has been the absolute key to me unlocking my potential as a reader. Before I would read just one book but the problem was if you hit a slow patch in a book, or if you got distracted and weren't able to come back to it, it was really, really hard to regain your momentum. And what I have found is that by being able to have an audio book going and multiple digital books and physical books, it's just a good thing for me to be able to always have something to pick up. And if I'm starting to lag in one, or kind of lose my taste for that, I can switch off to another. So I adore that, and that's really helped me really break through as a reader. Next is reading at home or everywhere. I will read anywhere, but I tend to find that because I love books so much, and I generally like being by myself. I'm a little bit introverted. I can be okay out with people, and I can have a great time, but I really like my own personal time. But sometimes I find myself like not leaving the house, not leaving the apartment. So I have started to really look for places, beautiful places that I can read at. So whether it's in a park or a cafe or, the places like that. Public libraries. There's an amazing library on University of Berkeley campus that's beautiful, but it's only open during the weekdays, and I work, so I can't go and sit there and act like I'm a scholar. So, but I did recently join a social club that has an amazing library, just so that I have a place to go and I can read, and which was fantastic when it was rainy during the winter. So I'm looking forward to spending more time there. And it's near City Lights. I can actually stroll to City Lights on a little break, which could be good or bad. We'll see. But they have a huge library of all female writers, and so it's a really inspiring place to be. And I love being able to just read there. So number 8, do you read out loud or silently in your head? Silently in my head. And I realized that I'm a really bad reader out loud when I tried to read a couple passages on my channel. So I think I might need to practice that a little bit. So yeah, who knew? Next is, do you read ahead or even skip pages? So I'll skim material if it's something, like something I think is gratuitous or super violent or just too dense with subject matter that I don't care about. Like if we're at a pig farm and they start talking about the butchering process, I'm going to skip ahead, something like that. But I find that I'll skim. But if I find that I'm actually skipping ahead, that's an indicator to me that I've lost the plot and I've lost the thread, or that the book hasn't captured my attention. And if it doesn't capture my attention, I'm probably not going to stay with it. So I'm probably about 5 minutes away from dumping it. And I have no problem in dumping a book. I recognize that not all books are for all people, and or it could just be the wrong time. So it could be a situation, and it has been, where I didn't get something on first approach. Confederacy of Dunces was like that. I did not get it. But the person who gave it to me was someone I admired so much that I was like, okay, well, let me try it again. And it was on that second attempt, when I was in a much better mind frame, that I was like, oh, this is so great. So I will return sometimes, but sometimes if I'm just like, no, not for me. There's so many good books, and publishing just won't stop. So, I have no time to catch up. And, so I've got to kind of keep pushing forward. Next one was, do you break the spine or keep it like new? I keep it like new. I'm not a animal. Just kidding. My husband is the person who will break the spine. So he just started really reading with a gusto, I would say, in the last 2 years. And he will take a book and he bends it. He only wants paperbacks, and he'll bend it back, and he just manhandles the thing. And I told him, we'll get him books, but he can't have mine because I don't want them after that's been done to them. And it's not that I'm being precious about it. It just doesn't feel right for me afterward. There's something that's been lost in that process. I don't know. It's weird. And then 11, do you write in your books? So I used to write in my books. I used to write frequently and just take little notes and stuff like that. But I found that what's better for me and what works really well, and this is one of the great things about digital, the ebooks and all of that, is when I use my app for Kindle, you can highlight a portion and then you can send it to Evernote. So I have an Evernote account, and in the Evernote account, I've actually created a template for book reviews. And so I can combine all of my notes that I've taken in a book that I've just sent out as I've read them. And I've created a kind of book review template, and I can put photos in there, I can put links in there, and it just keeps everything really organized. I can combine all of it into one page, and it's been incredibly handy. And I really hope that Evernote invests further in linking up with Kindle, maybe even Apple Books, because I think it's such a, and Nook too, maybe even Nook, because I think it's such a valuable opportunity. So that's all the answers. I hope there was something interesting in there. I would love to know, do you have any strange things? Did any of this sound incredibly bizarre, or like something that you do? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you again. Bye.